Pepi to Nefertiti 20–84 BC, after 20 to 47 BC. Probably either c. 2216 or c. 2184 BC. To note, one was a pharaoh of the 6th dynasty in Egypt's Old Kingdom who reigned from c. 20 to 78 BC. His second name, Nefertiti, means beautiful, is the Ka of Re. He succeeded to the throne at age 6. After the death of Mariner I. Pharaoh reigned to 78 after 20 to 47 BC. Probably either c. 2216 or c. 2184 BC. 1-2 predecessor Nemtimsif successor. Mariner Nemtimsif Royal titulary consort. Neith, Ipit 2, Ankusen PP 3, Ankusen PP 4, Ajetan. And Maritites Iv Thermer and Nemtimsif. Ior, less probably, Pepi I Mary Ramuther and Kipe I born. 2284 BC after 20 to 47 BC, probably c. 20 to 16 BC or c. 2184 BC. Older than 37, probably age 68 to 100. Burial Pyramid of Pepi II in Saqqara. Monuments by Ramid of Pepi E Dynasty 6th Dynasty. Pepi's reign marked a sharp decline of the Old Kingdom. As the power of the nomarchs grew, the power of the pharaoh declined, with no dominant central power. Local nobles began raiding each other's territories, and the Old Kingdom came to an end. Within a couple of years after the close of Pepi II's reign, he was traditionally thought to be the son of Pepi I and Queen Ankusen PP II. But the South Saqqara stone annals record that Mariner had a minimum reign of 11 years. Several 6th dynasty royal seals and stone blocks, the latter of which were found within the funerary temple of Queen Ankusen PP II, the known mother of Pepi II, were discovered in the 1999 to 2000 excavation season at Saqqara, which demonstrate that she also married Mariner after Pepi I's death and became this king's chief wife. Inscriptions on these stone blocks give Ankusen PP II the royal titles of King's wife of the Pyramid of Pepi I, King's wife of the Pyramid of Mariner, King's mother of the Pyramid of Pepi II. Therefore, today, many Egyptologists believe that Pepi II was likely Mariner's own son. 7. Pepi II would, therefore, be Pepi I's grandson, while Mariner was, most likely, Pepi II's father, since he is known to have married Pepi II's known mother, Queen Ankusen PP II. His mother Ankusen PP II Ankusenmarier II most likely ruled as regent. In the early years of his reign, she may have been helped in turn by her brother Zhao, who was a vizier under the previous pharaoh. An alabaster statuette in the Brooklyn Museum depicts a young Pepi II in full kingly regalia, sitting on the lap of his mother, despite his long reign. This piece is one of only 3 known sculptural representations in existence of this particular king. Some scholars have taken the relative paucity of royal statuary to suggest that the royal court was losing the ability to retain skilled artisans. A glimpse of the personality of the pharaoh while he was still a child can be found in a letter he wrote to Harkhuf, a governor of Aswan and the head of one of the expeditions he sent into Nubia. Sent to trade and collect ivory, ebony, and other precious items, he captured a pygmy. News of this reached the royal court, and an excited young king sent word back to Harkhuf that he would be greatly rewarded if the pygmy were brought back alive, where he would have likely served as an entertainer for the court. This letter was preserved as a lengthy inscription on Harkhuf's tomb, and has been called the first travelogue. Over his long life, Pepi had several wives, including Neith. She was the mother of Pepi's successor Mariner Nemtimsif II. She may be a daughter of Ankusen PP I, and hence also Pepi II's cousin and half-sister, Ipit to a half-sister of Pepi II. Ankusen PP III, she was the daughter of Mariner Nemtimsif I, and hence a granddaughter of Pepi I. Ankusen PP IV, the mother of King Nefertiti. According to texts in her tomb, it is not known which Nefertiti, as there are several kings with that name during the first intermediate period. His name may be Nefertiti Nebi. Ajetan, she was also a daughter of Pepi I. Maritites 4, originally thought to be a wife of Pepi I. She is now known to have been one of Pepi I's consorts. and a daughter of Pepi. I. Of these queens, Nef, and Ajetan each had their own minor pyramids and mortuary temples. As part of the king's own pyramid complex in Saqqara, Queen Ankhesenet III and Meritites were buried in pyramids near the pyramid of Pepi I Meria, and Ankhesenet IV was buried in a chapel in the complex of Queen Ajetan. Two more sons of Pepi II are known, Nebkhauridu and Tashepsesd. Pepi II seems to have carried on foreign policy in ways similar to that of his predecessors. Copper and turquoise were mined at Wadi Meghara in the Sinai, and alabaster was quarried from Hatnum. He is mentioned in inscriptions found in the Phoenician city of Byblos in the south. The trade relations consist of caravans trading with the Nubians. Harkhuf was a governor of Upper Egypt who led several expeditions under Mariner and Pepi II. His last expedition was a trip to a place called Iyam. Harkhuf brought back with him what his correspondence with the young pharaoh referred to as a dwarf, apparently a pygmy. Egypt received goods such as incense, ebony, animal skins, and ivory from Nubia. 15. The western desert was known to have extensive caravan routes. Some of these routes allowed for trade with the Karga Oasis, the Salima Oasis, and the Dakhla Oasis. Only a small number of pharaohs were immortalized in ancient fiction. Pepi II may be among them, in the tale of King Nefertiti and General Sassanet. 3 fragments of a papyrus dating from the late New Kingdom. Although the story may have been composed earlier, report clandestine nocturnal meetings with a military commander, a General Sassanet or Sizine. Some have suggested this reflects a homosexual relationship, although it is disputed that the text relates to Pepi II at all. Some, like R.S. Beyonce, think that it is a work of Archasian literature and dates to the 25th dynasty, referring to Shabaka Nefertiti, a Kushite pharaoh. The decline of the Old Kingdom arguably began before the time of Pepi II, with nomarchs, regional representatives of the king, becoming more and more powerful and exerting greater influence. Pepi I, for example, married to sisters who were the daughters of a nomarch and later made their brother a vizier. Their influence was extensive, both sisters bearing sons who were chosen as part of the royal succession, Mariner Nemtumsif I and Pepi II himself. Increasing wealth and power appears to have been handed over to high officials during Pepi II's reign. Large and expensive tombs appear at many of the major nomes of Egypt, built for the reigning nomarchs, the priestly class, and other administrators. Nomarchs were traditionally free from taxation, and their positions became hereditary. Their increasing wealth and independence led to a corresponding shift in power away from the central royal court to the regional nomarch. Later in his reign, it is known that Pepi divided the role of vizier, so that there were 2 viziers, one for Upper Egypt and one for Lower. A further decentralization of power away from the royal capital of Memphis. Further, the seat of vizier of Lower Egypt was moved several times. The southern vizier was based at the B's. Virtually the Persian conquest. Numerous localized synchronisms play vital roles in absolute dating, but seldom affect the duration of individual dynasties. Not only is Old Kingdom Egypt well outside any synchronism zone, but, as it happens, since Pepi II was the last substantive ruler of Egypt, before a period of political and chronological chaos, there are no awkward ramifying effects by reducing his reign by 20 or 30 years, a period that can simply be added on to the first intermediate period. Heneage himself is somewhat skeptical of the 90-year figure assigned to Pepi II, and follows Naguib Kanawati's 2003 suggestion that this king's reign was most probably much shorter than, centered on an absolute yet aging ruler who was not replaced because of his perceived divine status. A later, yet better documented example of this type of problem is the case of the long-reigning 19th dynasty pharaoh Ramesses II and his successors. Citation needed. It has been proposed that, and a daughter of Pepi I. Of these queens, Nef, and Ajetan each had their own minor pyramids and mortuary temples. as part of the king's own pyramid complex in Saqqara. Queen Ankhesenpipi III and Meritites were buried in pyramids near the Pyramid of Pepi I Merir. And Ankhesenpipi IV was, though current resolution of evidence is not sufficient to make an assertion. In the past, it had been suggested that Apure the Sage served as a treasury official. During the last years of Pepi to Neferker's reign, the Apure papyrus was thought by some to describe the collapse of the Old Kingdom and thought by some to describe the collapse of the Old Kingdom and the beginning of the Dark Age, known to historians as the First Intermediate Period.